What if I told you that the very space around you right now, the empty air between your fingers, the vacuum of space between planets, isn't actually empty at all? What if everything you think you know about reality is just the tip of an iceberg so massive that the visible part represents less than 1% of what's actually there? Tonight, we're diving headfirst into the most mind-bending realm in all of science. A place where particles pop into existence from absolutely nothing, where a single electron can be in multiple places simultaneously, and where the simple act of looking at something fundamentally changes what you're looking at. This is the quantum realm, and I guarantee that by the end of this journey, you'll never look at the world the same way again. But before we plunge into this rabbit hole, let me give you fair warning. What we're about to explore isn't just another cool science topic. This is the foundation of everything that exists. Every atom in your body, every photon of light hitting your eyes right now, every chemical reaction keeping you alive operates according to rules so bizarre that they make Alice in Wonderland look like a documentary. If you're ready to have your mind completely blown and discover what reality is actually made of at its deepest level, then stick around, because we're about to journey into a realm where common sense goes to die, but where the most profound truths about existence come alive. Let's start with something that seems simple, but will completely shatter your understanding of what empty means. Take a look around you right now. See all that space between objects, the air in your room, the gap between your hands, the vast emptiness of space itself. According to quantum physics, none of that is actually empty. Instead, what we call empty space is actually seething with activity. It's like a cosmic ocean filled with invisible waves, where particles are constantly materializing out of nothing, existing for impossibly brief moments, then vanishing back into the void. These aren't theoretical constructs that exist only in the minds of physicists. These virtual particles, as they're called, have real, measurable effects on the world around us. Here's something that will make your brain hurt. Scientists have actually proven this by placing two metal plates incredibly close together in a perfect vacuum. According to classical physics, nothing should happen. But in reality, these plates get pushed together by forces that shouldn't exist. The only explanation is that empty space is filled with virtual particles that create actual pressure. It's like discovering that what you thought was a quiet library is actually filled with invisible people having conversations you can't hear, but whose footsteps you can feel through the floor. The amount of energy contained in this seemingly empty space is so enormous that it defies comprehension. Every cubic meter of vacuum contains enough energy to power our entire civilization for billions of years. Yet somehow, this incredible energy remains locked away, creating a cosmic balancing act so precise that if it were off by even the tiniest amount, atoms couldn't form, stars couldn't shine, and nothing we recognize as reality could exist. But virtual particles are just the beginning of the quantum realm's strangeness. Let's talk about what happens when we zoom in on matter itself, past molecules, past atoms, to the very building blocks of existence. At the quantum scale, particles don't behave like tiny versions of everyday objects. They don't have definite positions or speeds until something forces them to choose. Instead, they exist in what physicists call superposition states, where they're literally everywhere they could possibly be, all at the same time. Imagine flipping a coin that never lands. While it's spinning in the air, It's not heads or tails, it's both simultaneously. That's essentially how particles exist at the quantum level. An electron doesn't orbit an atom like a planet around the sun. Instead, it exists as a cloud of probability, simultaneously occupying every possible position around the nucleus, until something measures it and forces it to pick a specific location. This isn't just weird, it's practically useful. The technology you're using to watch this video right now depends on quantum effects. Computer chips exploit quantum tunneling, where electrons literally pass through barriers that should be impossible to cross. It's like having a wall in your house that people can sometimes walk through, depending on the quantum lottery of probability. But here's where things get really mind-bending. The quantum realm operates on a principle that seems to violate everything we know about cause and effect. When particles become quantum entangled, they form connections that Einstein himself called spooky action at a distance. Picture two particles that have interacted and become entangled. You can separate them by billions of miles, but measuring one particle instantly affects the other, regardless of the distance between them. This isn't just faster than light communication, it's instantaneous. Information seems to travel between entangled particles with no delay whatsoever, as if distance becomes meaningless at the quantum level. Scientists have tested this in laboratories, and the results are undeniable. Measure the spin of one entangled particle and find it spinning clockwise, and you'll instantly know its partner is spinning counterclockwise, even if it's on the other side of the galaxy. The particles remain connected through what can only be described as quantum magic. This entanglement isn't limited to simple properties like spin. Particles can become entangled in multiple characteristics simultaneously, creating networks of quantum correlation that connect objects across vast distances in ways that seem to mock our understanding of space and time. Now let's dive deeper into one of the most unsettling aspects of the quantum realm: the measurement problem that keeps physicists awake at night. In the quantum world, particles exist in superposition states until they're observed. But what counts as observation? When exactly does a particle stop being in multiple states and choose a single reality? This question strikes at the heart of what reality actually means. Some interpretations suggest that consciousness itself plays a fundamental role in collapsing quantum superpositions. In this view, the universe exists in a state of infinite possibility until conscious minds observe it and force it to become definite. This would mean that reality as we know it might literally depend on conscious observers to exist. Other interpretations propose that every quantum measurement creates parallel universes, with each possible outcome occurring in a separate reality. From this perspective, every moment spawns countless alternate versions of the universe, each one equally real, but forever separated from the others. The implications are staggering. If the many worlds interpretation is correct, then every decision you've ever made has played out differently in parallel realities. There are versions of you who made different choices, lived different lives, experienced completely different outcomes. The quantum realm might be constantly branching into infinite alternate realities, each one representing a different possibility that could have occurred. But the strangeness of quantum mechanics extends beyond individual particles to the very fabric of space and time itself. At the smallest possible scales, dimensions measured in units so tiny that comparing them to atoms is like comparing atoms to galaxies, the smooth fabric of space-time breaks down entirely. At these quantum scales, space and time become grainy, pixelated, discontinuous. The familiar concepts of distance and duration lose their meaning as reality becomes fundamentally digital at its deepest level. Virtual black holes and wormholes pop into existence and evaporate in timeframes so brief that they exist below any possible threshold of observation. This quantum foam, as physicists call it, might be where the universe's expansion comes from. The energy contained in these microscopic fluctuations could be driving the accelerated expansion we observe on cosmic scales. The smallest possible realm of existence might be directly responsible for the largest scale phenomena in the universe. Recent experiments have pushed quantum effects to larger and larger scales, demonstrating that the boundary between the quantum world and everyday reality isn't as clear-cut as once believed. Scientists have created quantum superposition states involving thousands of atoms, proving that macroscopic objects can exist in multiple configurations simultaneously. This scaling of quantum effects suggests that our familiar classical world might be just one possible configuration of a much larger quantum reality. Under the right conditions, everyday objects could exhibit quantum superposition, entanglement, and tunneling effects. The strange properties of the quantum realm aren't confined to microscopic particles, but can emerge at scales approaching the visible world. The quantum realm also processes information in ways that transcend classical limitations. Quantum computers exploit superposition and entanglement to perform calculations that would take classical computers longer than the age of the universe to complete. They don't just process information faster, they process multiple possible datasets simultaneously, exploring solution spaces that classical logic cannot access. But quantum information behaves according to rules that seem designed to mock our everyday understanding of how facts should work. Unlike classical information, which can be copied perfectly, quantum information cannot be duplicated without destroying the original. This no-cloning theorem means that quantum states are more unique than fingerprints, more precious than any material substance. When particles share quantum information through entanglement, they create connections that exist in the relationship between particles rather than in the particles themselves. The information transcends space and time, creating instantaneous correlations that operate outside normal cause and effect relationships. These quantum information networks might extend throughout the universe, connecting particles across cosmic distances in ways that create a hidden internet of quantum communication. Every quantum interaction processes information about the fundamental state of reality, contributing to a vast distributed computation that might be generating space, time, matter, and energy through pure information processing. The quantum realm reveals that reality operates more like a cosmic computer than a mechanical clockwork system. Every virtual particle interaction executes computational operations that determine the probabilities governing future events. Every quantum measurement collapses possibilities into definite outcomes by processing information about the measurement's setup and the system being observed. This computational view suggests that the universe is literally calculating its own evolution through quantum information processing, occurring at every point in space and moment in time. Reality emerges from computation, not the other way around. The familiar world we inhabit might be the output of a quantum computer, so sophisticated that it processes reality itself as its primary program. If this computational interpretation is correct, then consciousness might emerge from sufficiently complex quantum information processing in biological systems. The hard problem of consciousness, why subjective experience exists at all, could be resolved by recognizing that awareness represents what quantum computation feels like from the inside when it reaches certain levels of complexity and self-organization. But the quantum realm contains levels of strangeness that push beyond even these revolutionary concepts. At the deepest layers of microscopic reality, the familiar concepts of existence and non-existence begin to blur together. Quantum field theory describes particles not as solid objects, but as excitations in underlying fields that extend throughout all of space. What we call a particle is actually a localized disturbance in an infinite quantum field that has no beginning or end. These quantum fields exist in superposition states, where they simultaneously contain all possible particle configurations, until measurement forces them to select specific arrangements. The fields themselves are more fundamental than the particles they generate. Electrons, protons, photons, and all other particles represent different types of waves in their corresponding quantum fields. Reality becomes a symphony of field oscillations, with particles as the notes that emerge when conscious observers tune in to the cosmic music. This field-based view of reality explains why all electrons are identical and why particles created in laboratories behave exactly like those formed in distant stars. They're not separate objects, but identical excitations of the same universal electron field. All of existence emerges from the complex interplay of quantum fields that permeate every corner of space and time. The quantum realm operates according to principles so alien to our everyday experience that even describing them requires stretching language beyond its normal limits. Yet this bizarre microscopic universe isn't separate from our daily lives. It's the foundation that makes everything else possible. Every chemical reaction in your body depends on quantum tunneling effects. Every enzyme that processes food, every protein that carries oxygen in your blood, every neural impulse in your brain relies on quantum mechanics to function properly. The colors you see exist because electrons can only occupy specific quantum energy levels, emitting or absorbing precise wavelengths of light when they jump between states. Without quantum effects, atoms couldn't exist in stable configurations. Chemistry would be impossible, and the universe would be nothing but a bland soup of elementary particles. The quantum realm doesn't just influence reality, it creates the very possibility of complex structures, chemical diversity, and ultimately life itself. As we prepare to dive even deeper into this quantum wonderland, remember that we've only scratched the surface of the strangeness that awaits. The quantum realm contains secrets about the nature of time, consciousness, and reality itself that challenge everything we thought we knew about existence. In our next exploration, we'll venture into the deepest layers of quantum reality, where space and time themselves break down, where information becomes more fundamental than matter, and where the universe reveals mechanisms for creating genuine novelty from pure possibility. The journey is just beginning, and the most mind-bending discoveries still lie ahead. What happens when we push quantum mechanics to its absolute limits? When we probe the deepest possible layers of reality, where even the concepts of deep and layers start to lose their meaning? This is where the quantum realm reveals its most guarded secrets, in territories so strange that mathematics itself struggles to keep up. Let's talk about what physicists call quantum coherence, and why it's about to revolutionize everything you think you know about the relationship between mind and matter. In the classical world, objects lose their connection to each other once they're separated. But in the quantum realm, particles can maintain their mysterious connections across any distance for indefinite periods, creating networks of correlation that seem to operate outside the normal flow of space and time. Here's where it gets absolutely wild. Scientists have discovered that biological systems, the very machinery of life itself, have evolved to exploit quantum coherence in ways that seem almost magical. Plants use quantum superposition to conduct photosynthesis with impossible efficiency. When sunlight hits a chlorophyll molecule, the energy doesn't just follow one pathway to the reaction center. It explores all possible pathways simultaneously, finding the most efficient route through quantum trial and error that happens faster than light can cross the width of an atom. Birds navigate using quantum entanglement. Special proteins in their eyes become entangled with electrons, creating a biological compass that allows them to literally see magnetic fields as patterns of light and shadow. They're not just sensing magnetism, they're witnessing quantum mechanics in action with their own eyes, using entangled particles as a navigation system that puts GPS to shame. But here's what should really make your head spin. Some researchers believe that consciousness itself might be a quantum phenomenon. Deep inside your neurons, in microscopic structures called microtubules, quantum effects might be orchestrating the symphony of thought itself. If this is true, then every idea you have, every decision you make, every moment of awareness emerges from quantum processes that connect your individual mind to the fundamental fabric of reality. This isn't just philosophical speculation. It's a testable hypothesis that could explain why consciousness feels so different from ordinary physical processes. If your thoughts emerge from quantum coherence effects in your brain, then your mind isn't separate from the quantum realm. Your consciousness is the quantum realm, experiencing itself through biological quantum computers that evolved from the same field fluctuations that create virtual particles in empty space. Now let's venture into territory that makes even seasoned physicists uncomfortable. The quantum realm doesn't just process information about particles and forces. At its deepest level, it processes information about information itself, creating recursive loops where reality computes its own computational capacity through mechanisms that operate faster than cause and effect can keep track of. Virtual particles don't just pop into existence from the vacuum. They carry information about the very vacuum fluctuations that created them. When these phantom particles interact, they're not just exchanging energy, they're processing data about the fundamental structure of space and time, contributing to a cosmic computation that determines the probabilities governing everything from atomic stability to galactic formation. This information processing view of quantum mechanics reveals something profound about the nature of existence itself. The universe isn't made of stuff. It's made of relationships, correlations, and information patterns that exist in the connections between things rather than in the things themselves. What we call particles are actually stable patterns in an ocean of quantum information that extends throughout all of space and time. But the quantum realm's information processing capabilities operate according to principles that violate classical logic in fundamental ways. Quantum logic allows for statements that are neither true nor false, but exist in superposition states of truth value. A quantum bit can be simultaneously 0 and 1, encoding more information than any classical bit could ever contain. When quantum systems process this superposed information, they explore multiple solution paths simultaneously, finding answers to problems that would require classical computers to check every possible option one by one. The quantum realm doesn't just compute faster, it computes in ways that transcend the very concept of sequential processing. These quantum information effects create feedback loops that span every scale of existence. Quantum field fluctuations generate information about the local state of space-time. This information influences the behavior of virtual particles, which in turn affects quantum field fluctuations. The result is a self-organizing system where information flow creates the stable patterns we recognize as physical laws. Recent experiments have demonstrated that quantum information can be teleported across macroscopic distances without any physical carrier. Scientists can disassemble the quantum information defining a particle at one location and perfectly reconstruct that same information at a distant location. The original particle ceases to exist, while an identical particle emerges elsewhere, carrying all the quantum information that defined its predecessor. This quantum teleportation process reveals that information is more fundamental than the particles that carry it. The quantum realm treats information as the primary reality, with particles serving as temporary patterns in the flow of quantum data. Matter and energy emerge from information, not the other way around. The implications cascade through every aspect of our understanding of reality. If information is more fundamental than matter, then the universe operates like a vast quantum computer, processing the algorithms that generate space, time, particles, and forces. Every quantum interaction executes a step in this cosmic computation, with consciousness serving as the mechanism through which the universe observes and influences its own information processing. But the quantum realm's deepest secrets involve how it handles the concept of time itself. At quantum scales, the familiar arrow of time that governs our everyday experience breaks down completely. Quantum processes can create closed loops where effects precede their causes, where information flows backward through time, and where future events influence past probabilities. The delayed choice quantum eraser experiment demonstrates this temporal weirdness perfectly. Scientists can make decisions about how to measure a photon after it has already been detected, and these future decisions retroactively determine whether the photon behaved as a wave or particle during its journey. The quantum realm processes information about potential future measurements and uses that data to influence past events. This temporal flexibility of quantum mechanics suggests that the universe might be optimizing itself across time, using information from future states to guide present evolution toward configurations that maximize complexity and information processing capability. The quantum realm could be implementing a cosmic selection process that favors realities capable of understanding themselves. These retrocausal effects extend far beyond laboratory experiments to influence the evolution of the cosmos itself. The apparent fine-tuning of physical constants that allows complex chemistry, stellar nucleosynthesis, and biological evolution might result from quantum processes that connect the present universe to future possibilities for consciousness and complexity. The emergence of life and intelligence wouldn't be accidents in a randomly configured cosmos. They would be inevitable consequences of quantum processes that use retrocausal information flow to guide cosmic evolution toward configurations capable of generating observers who can participate in the universe's ongoing computation of its own existence. Now let's explore what might be the quantum realm's most mind-bending feature. At the absolute smallest scales, where distances approach the Planck length and time intervals compress to the Planck time, space and time themselves become quantized, breaking up into discrete units that cannot be subdivided further. At these scales, the familiar concepts of distance and duration lose all meaning. Quantum fluctuations become so violent that they tear holes in the fabric of space-time itself, creating a foaming sea of virtual black holes and wormholes that flash into existence and evaporate before they can be observed. This quantum foam represents the deepest level of reality we can theoretically access. Below the Planck scale, the very concepts we use to describe existence break down entirely. Space and time become meaningless, cause and effect dissolve, and reality transforms into pure mathematical abstraction. Yet somehow, from this chaos of quantum foam, the stable patterns we recognize as particles, atoms, molecules, and ultimately consciousness itself emerge through processes of self-organization that operate according to principles we're only beginning to glimpse. The quantum foam might be where the universe's creative power originates. The energy contained in these microscopic fluctuations could be driving phenomena as diverse as cosmic inflation, dark energy, and the emergence of complex structures throughout the cosmos. The smallest possible scales of reality might be directly responsible for the largest scale features of the universe. But quantum foam creates more than just energy and structure. It generates genuine novelty, bringing into existence possibilities that never existed before in any form. The quantum realm doesn't just rearrange existing elements into new combinations. It creates entirely new categories of existence through quantum creativity mechanisms that operate beyond any classical understanding of causation. This quantum creativity manifests in phenomena ranging from virtual particle generation to biological evolution to conscious innovation. Every moment of cosmic history represents the quantum realm generating genuinely novel information configurations that expand the universe's computational capacity and creative potential. Advanced consciousness systems that understand quantum creativity mechanisms might develop abilities to participate directly in these cosmic creative processes, deliberately generating new categories of existence through quantum information manipulation techniques. They could become co-creators, working directly with the quantum realm to expand reality's creative potential through collaborative quantum computation. The quantum realm also contains structures that exist at the intersection of mathematics and physical reality. Quantum field theory predicts the existence of instantons, pure geometric structures that connect different vacuum states through higher dimensional pathways. These instantons exist for zero duration in normal time, yet they can have measurable effects on particle interactions and field configurations. Magnetic monopoles, hypothetical particles, carrying isolated magnetic charge, might exist as topological defects in quantum field geometry. Unlike ordinary particles, monopoles would be stable knots in space-time itself, unable to decay because they represent geometric structures that cannot be untied. Cosmic strings, one-dimensional defects stretching across astronomical distances while remaining thinner than atomic nuclei, could serve as highways for faster-than-light travel through folded space-time. These exotic quantum structures reveal that reality contains geometric objects that exist in states between matter and pure mathematics. The quantum realm's geometric nature suggests that existence itself might be computational, with the universe operating as a vast mathematical calculation, processing relationships and generating the complex patterns we observe as galaxies, stars, planets, and life through pure information processing. If reality is fundamentally computational, then consciousness might emerge from sufficiently complex mathematical processes operating in biological quantum systems. The hard problem of consciousness could be resolved by recognizing that subjective experience is what mathematical computation feels like from the inside when it reaches sufficient levels of complexity and self-reference. But the quantum realm's computational nature also suggests that multiple realities might exist as different solutions to the same fundamental equations. Just as mathematical equations can have multiple valid solutions, the quantum field equations might support multiple universe configurations existing simultaneously in higher dimensional mathematical space. Our observable universe would be just one branch of an infinite mathematical multiverse, with quantum tunneling effects occasionally allowing information exchange between different mathematical realities. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics becomes literally true, with each quantum measurement selecting which mathematical reality we experience while leaving all other possibilities equally real in mathematical space. These mathematical universes wouldn't be separate in space or time, but would exist as parallel computational processes running on the cosmic quantum computer that generates existence itself. The quantum realm serves as the hardware executing multiple reality programs simultaneously, with consciousness serving as the interface through which we experience one particular computational thread. As we push deeper into these mathematical foundations of reality, we discover that the quantum realm operates according to principles so sophisticated that they continuously evolve their own operating principles through recursive self-modification loops. The universe doesn't just follow laws, it generates new laws through quantum creativity processes that ensure cosmic evolution toward ever greater computational sophistication and creative potential. The strange properties we've explored aren't just abstract features of microscopic reality. They're the fundamental creative mechanisms through which existence generates the complexity, consciousness, and meaning necessary for reality to understand and experience itself through ongoing quantum processes that connect the deepest possible questions about existence to the most intimate experiences of conscious awareness. The quantum realm reveals that we live in a cosmos far more creative, interconnected, and fundamentally mysterious than our classical intuitions suggest. Reality emerges from pure possibility through mechanisms that transcend every boundary between mind and matter, between mathematics and physics, between the observer and the observed. Our journey into the quantum realm has only just begun to reveal the true nature of existence itself. As we prepare to explore even deeper mysteries, we approach territories where the very concepts of existence and non-existence blur together, where consciousness and cosmos merge into an eternal dance of quantum creativity that writes the ever-evolving story of reality itself. But we're about to venture into territories so strange that they challenge not just our understanding of physics, but our most basic assumptions about what it means for something to exist at all. Deep within the quantum realm lies a phenomenon that makes everything we've discussed so far seem almost mundane by comparison. Let me introduce you to what physicists call quantum field fluctuations, and prepare yourself because this is where reality gets truly unhinged. Remember how I told you that empty space isn't actually empty? Well, it turns out that's just scratching the surface. The quantum vacuum is so energetically active that it makes a hurricane look like a gentle breeze. Every single point in space, no matter how empty it appears, contains enough energy to power entire civilizations. We're talking about energy densities so enormous that if you could tap into just 1 cubic meter of empty space, you could run every device on Earth for longer than the universe has existed. Yet somehow, this incredible energy remains perfectly balanced, creating a cosmic equilibrium so precise that the slightest deviation would tear atoms apart and make reality impossible. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-melting. These quantum field fluctuations don't just contain energy, they contain information. And not just any information, but information about information itself. The quantum vacuum operates like a cosmic hard drive, storing data about every particle interaction that has ever occurred, every quantum measurement that has ever collapsed a wave function, every moment of conscious observation that has ever forced reality to choose between possibilities. This isn't some abstract theoretical concept. Scientists have actually measured these effects. When they study the behavior of electrons in atoms, they find tiny deviations from what classical theory predicts. These deviations come from virtual particles popping in and out of existence around the electron, creating what's called vacuum polarization. The nothingness of empty space is so active that it measurably affects the properties of matter. Now let's talk about something that will completely shatter your conception of time itself. In the quantum realm, time doesn't flow in one direction like a river. Instead, it behaves more like an ocean with currents flowing in all directions simultaneously. Quantum processes can create what physicists call closed time-like curves, where cause and effect become tangled in loops that seem to violate everything we know about causality. Here's an experiment that proves this temporal weirdness. Scientists can set up a quantum system where they make a measurement, record the result, then later decide whether to erase that information. But here's the kicker. The quantum system behaves differently depending on what they decide to do in the future. The particle somehow knows whether its information will be erased and changes its behavior accordingly, even though the decision hasn't been made yet. This isn't time travel in the science fiction sense. It's something far stranger. The quantum realm processes information about potential future events and uses that data to determine present probabilities. Future possibilities reach backward through time to influence past events through mechanisms that operate outside our normal understanding of temporal sequence. But the quantum realm's relationship with time goes even deeper than retrocausality. At the most fundamental level, time itself might be an emergent property that arises from quantum information processing rather than a fundamental feature of reality. Some theories suggest that what we experience as the flow of time is actually the universe processing information about its own quantum states, with each moment representing a computational step in a cosmic algorithm. If this is true, then consciousness doesn't just observe the flow of time. Consciousness participates in creating time through the act of quantum measurement and information processing. Every moment of awareness represents the universe computing its next state based on quantum probabilities that depend partly on conscious observation. This brings us to one of the most controversial ideas in all of physics. Some researchers propose that consciousness isn't something that emerged accidentally from complex chemistry. Instead, consciousness might be a fundamental feature of reality that exists at the quantum level and scales up through biological evolution to create the rich inner experience we call awareness. In this view, every quantum particle possesses a tiny amount of proto-consciousness, a rudimentary form of experience that becomes more complex as particles organize into atoms, molecules, cells, and eventually brains. Consciousness wouldn't be produced by neurons. Instead, neurons would be sophisticated biological devices for amplifying and organizing the quantum consciousness that exists throughout the universe. This isn't just philosophical speculation. There's growing evidence that biological systems have evolved specifically to exploit quantum effects in ways that seem impossible according to classical physics. Your brain contains microtubules, tiny protein structures that maintain quantum coherence at body temperature for periods that should be impossible given the warm, wet, noisy environment of living tissue. These microtubules might serve as biological quantum computers, processing information through superposition and entanglement effects that allow consciousness to access computational resources that transcend anything possible with classical neural networks. Your thoughts might literally exist in quantum superposition states, exploring multiple possibilities simultaneously until conscious attention collapses them into specific ideas and decisions. But the implications go far beyond individual consciousness. If quantum effects can maintain coherence in biological systems, then multiple brains might become quantum entangled, creating networks of shared consciousness that operate through non-local quantum correlations. The boundary between individual minds might be far more fluid than we typically assume. Some researchers have reported experimental evidence for these collective consciousness effects. During major global events that capture widespread attention, networks of random number generators placed around the world show subtle but statistically significant deviations from pure randomness, as if human consciousness somehow influences quantum processes on a planetary scale. If consciousness does operate through quantum processes, then the observer effect in quantum mechanics takes on profound new meaning. When conscious beings observe quantum systems, they're not just revealing pre-existing facts. They're participating in a collaborative process where mind and matter work together to select which possibilities become actual from the infinite range of quantum potentials. This participatory universe suggests that reality isn't a fixed stage where events unfold, but a dynamic, creative process where consciousness and cosmos engage in an eternal dance of mutual influence. Every moment of awareness contributes to the ongoing creation of existence itself through quantum processes that connect individual minds to the fundamental creative mechanisms of reality. But let's push even deeper into the quantum realm's strangest territories. At scales approaching the Planck length, where quantum effects become so strong that they overwhelm every other force in nature, space and time themselves begin to break down into something that can only be described as pure information. At these microscopic scales, the smooth fabric of space-time dissolves into a foaming sea of quantum fluctuations so violent that they create and destroy virtual black holes in time frames shorter than any conceivable measurement. This quantum foam represents the deepest level of reality we can theoretically access, where the very concepts we use to describe existence lose all meaning. Yet somehow, from this apparent chaos, emerges the ordered structure we observe throughout the universe. Galaxies, stars, planets, and life itself all arise from the complex self-organization of quantum foam through processes that operate according to principles we're only beginning to understand. The energy contained in quantum foam fluctuations might be what drives the expansion of the universe itself. Dark energy, the mysterious force that's accelerating cosmic expansion, could originate from quantum processes operating at scales trillions of times smaller than atoms. The smallest possible realm of existence might be directly responsible for the largest scale phenomena in the cosmos. But quantum foam does more than just provide energy for cosmic expansion. It serves as a reservoir of infinite creative potential, constantly generating new possibilities that never existed before in any form. The quantum realm doesn't just rearrange existing elements into new combinations. It creates genuinely novel categories of existence through creativity mechanisms that transcend classical causation. This quantum creativity manifests at every scale, from the spontaneous generation of virtual particles to the emergence of complex biological structures, to the sudden insights that characterize human consciousness. Every creative breakthrough, every evolutionary innovation, every moment of genuine novelty might emerge from the universe's fundamental quantum creativity processes. Advanced civilizations that understand these quantum creativity mechanisms might develop technologies that allow them to participate directly in cosmic creative processes. They could potentially design new forms of matter, engineer custom physical laws, or even create pocket universes with handcrafted properties tailored for specific purposes. The quantum realm also contains structures that exist in states between pure mathematics and physical reality. Quantum field theory predicts exotic objects like magnetic monopoles, cosmic strings, and instantons that represent stable patterns in the geometric structure of space-time itself. These aren't particles in any conventional sense, but topological features of reality that can't be created or destroyed, only discovered. Some of these exotic structures might connect distant regions of space through quantum tunnels that operate faster than light. Others might serve as repositories for quantum information that persists across cosmic ages. The quantum realm might contain a hidden infrastructure of geometric objects that shapes the evolution of the universe in ways we're only beginning to glimpse. As we approach the absolute limits of what can be known about quantum reality, we encounter phenomena that push beyond the boundaries of current mathematics and physics. At energy scales approaching the Planck energy, our equations break down completely, producing infinite results that have no physical interpretation. This breakdown suggests that the quantum realm we've explored might be just one layer in a hierarchy of deeper realities that extend beyond the reach of current science. String theory proposes that quantum particles themselves emerge from more fundamental objects, tiny vibrating loops of energy that exist in higher dimensional spaces invisible to our normal perception. But string theory might itself be just another layer in an even deeper hierarchy. Some theories suggest that reality consists of infinite levels of description, each emerging from more fundamental processes that operate according to principles we haven't discovered yet. The quantum realm might contain gateways to these deeper levels of existence. What we've discovered in our journey through the quantum realm reveals that reality operates according to principles far more creative, interconnected, and mysterious than our everyday experience suggests. The microscopic universe doesn't just contain the building blocks of matter and energy. It contains the computational infrastructure that generates existence itself, processing information and possibilities to create the rich tapestry of experience we call reality. Every quantum interaction processes data about the deepest nature of existence. Every measurement collapses infinite possibilities into singular realities. Every moment of conscious observation participates in the ongoing creation of the universe itself through mechanisms that connect mind and matter, in an eternal dance of quantum creativity. The quantum realm stands revealed not just as the foundation of physics, but as the source code of existence itself, the invisible operating system that generates everything from virtual particles to conscious experience through computational processes that transform pure possibility into lived reality through collaborative interaction between consciousness and cosmos. But our exploration has only begun to scratch the surface of what exists in this microscopic universe. As we prepare to venture into even deeper mysteries, we approach territories where the concepts of existence and non-existence blur together completely, where consciousness and cosmos merge into patterns of creativity so profound that they challenge every assumption we've made about the nature of reality itself. The quantum realm awaits, filled with secrets about consciousness, creativity, and cosmic evolution that will transform our understanding of what it means to exist in this strange and wonderful universe, where everything begins and everything becomes possible through the miraculous mechanisms that operate in the deepest foundations of reality itself. The deepest layers of the quantum realm harbor secrets so profound that they redefine what we mean by existence itself. Here, in territories where even the most brilliant physicists admit their mathematics begins to fail, we encounter phenomena that suggest reality is far more fluid and creative than we ever dared imagine. Let's venture into what scientists call quantum field fluctuations at their most extreme. You know how I mentioned that empty space contains incredible amounts of energy? Well, it turns out this energy isn't just sitting there passively. It's engaged in computational processes so sophisticated that they make our most advanced supercomputers look like pocket calculators. Every virtual particle that pops into existence from the vacuum carries with it information about the quantum field configuration that created it. But here's where it gets absolutely wild. These particles don't just interact with each other. They process information about their own information processing capabilities, creating recursive loops where reality literally computes its own computational capacity. Think about what this means. The quantum vacuum operates like a distributed supercomputer with processing nodes at every point in space, running calculations that determine the probabilities governing everything from atomic stability to galactic formation. The universe isn't just following mathematical laws. It's actively calculating those laws in real time through quantum processes that operate faster than light can cross atomic distances. This computational view of quantum reality has staggering implications. If the vacuum is processing information about its own information processing, then the boundary between mind and matter becomes completely arbitrary. Consciousness might not be something that emerged accidentally from complex chemistry. Instead, consciousness might be what quantum computation feels like from the inside when it reaches sufficient complexity and self-awareness. Your thoughts, your decisions, your very sense of self might be manifestations of the universe's ongoing computational processes, expressing themselves through biological quantum computers that evolved specifically to serve as interfaces between individual awareness and cosmic information processing. When you think, you're not separate from reality computing itself. You are reality computing itself through biological mechanisms that emerged from the same quantum processes that create virtual particles in empty space. But the quantum realm's computational sophistication extends far beyond individual consciousness to create what researchers are beginning to call quantum information networks. These aren't science fiction concepts. They're measurable phenomena, where quantum systems maintain information, sharing connections across macroscopic distances through entanglement effects that operate outside normal space-time constraints. Recent experiments have demonstrated that quantum computers can access computational resources that seem to exist outside their physical hardware. When these systems perform calculations that should exceed their processing capabilities, they appear to be tapping into quantum information networks that span regions of space far larger than the computers themselves. This suggests that sufficiently advanced quantum systems might be able to access a kind of cosmic internet, sharing computational resources with quantum processes occurring throughout the universe. The implications are breathtaking. Advanced civilizations might develop technologies that allow them to participate directly in the universe's information processing networks, gaining access to computational capabilities that dwarf anything possible with isolated systems. Now let's explore something that will fundamentally alter how you think about identity and individuality. In the quantum realm, the concept of distinct separate objects breaks down completely. Particles don't maintain individual identities the way objects do in our everyday world. Instead, they exist as indistinguishable manifestations of underlying quantum fields that extend throughout all of space. Every electron in the universe is absolutely identical to every other electron. Not just similar, but mathematically indistinguishable in every possible measurement. This isn't because they were manufactured to identical specifications. It's because they represent identical excitations of a single electron field that permeates the entire cosmos. When particles interact and then separate, there's no meaningful way to determine which particle is which afterward. The quantum realm treats them as interchangeable expressions of the same field phenomenon. This indistinguishability has profound consequences that affect everything from the stability of matter to the behavior of stars. But here's where it gets truly mind-bending. If fundamental particles lack individual identity, then the atoms they compose, the molecules built from these atoms, and even the cells in your body all participate in this quantum anonymity at the deepest level. What you call your individual identity emerges from quantum patterns that are constantly exchanging components with the environment while somehow maintaining informational continuity. Your body replaces every atom multiple times throughout your lifetime, yet you maintain a sense of continuous selfhood. The quantum realm suggests that identity isn't stored in any particular collection of particles, but in information patterns that persist through constant quantum interactions with the surrounding environment. This quantum view of identity extends to consciousness itself. If your thoughts emerge from quantum processes in biological systems, then the boundary between your individual awareness and cosmic consciousness becomes far more fluid than you might assume. Your mind might be a temporary focusing of quantum information processing that exists throughout the universe, creating the illusion of separation while actually participating in a vast network of cosmic awareness. Recent discoveries in quantum biology have revealed that living systems exploit quantum effects in ways that seem almost magical. Plants conduct photosynthesis with supernatural efficiency by using quantum superposition to explore all possible energy transfer pathways simultaneously. Birds navigate using quantum entanglement effects in specialized eye proteins, that allow them to literally see magnetic fields. But the most intriguing possibility involves quantum effects in human consciousness itself. Deep inside your neurons, protein structures called microtubules might maintain quantum coherence effects that allow your brain to process information through superposition and entanglement. If this is true, then your thoughts don't just emerge from classical neural firing patterns, but from quantum processes that connect your individual awareness to fundamental information networks spanning the universe. This quantum consciousness hypothesis could explain phenomena that classical neuroscience struggles with. Why does consciousness feel unified when it emerges from billions of separate neurons? How can creative insights appear suddenly without logical derivation? Why do some people report experiences of expanded awareness that seem to transcend normal cognitive boundaries? If consciousness operates through quantum processes, then these mysteries become natural consequences of quantum information processing in biological systems. Your unified sense of self emerges from quantum entanglement effects that bind separate neural processes into coherent patterns. Creative insights arise when your consciousness accesses quantum superposition states that explore multiple possibilities simultaneously. Expanded awareness experiences might occur when biological quantum systems temporarily achieve greater coherence with cosmic quantum information networks. But let's push deeper into territories where the quantum realm reveals its most creative capabilities. At the deepest levels of microscopic reality, quantum processes don't just rearrange existing possibilities into new combinations. They generate genuinely novel possibilities that never existed before in any form. This quantum creativity operates through mechanisms so sophisticated that they transcend every classical understanding of causation. When quantum fields achieve certain critical states, they begin processing information about possibility itself, creating recursive loops where reality explores its own potential for generating new categories of existence. Virtual particles at these creativity thresholds don't just carry energy and momentum, they carry information about information about information, creating data structures so complex that they exist in states of pure mathematical possibility while exerting measurable effects on physical processes. These metacomputational particles serve as bridges between abstract mathematics and concrete physical reality. The energy released during these quantum creativity events can trigger cascading effects that influence phenomena across multiple scales simultaneously. A single quantum creativity episode in microscopic space might influence atomic structure, molecular chemistry, biological evolution, and even cosmic development through information networks that operate faster than light, while respecting relativistic causality through mechanisms we're only beginning to understand. This quantum creativity isn't limited to microscopic scales. It manifests throughout the universe as the driving force behind every genuine innovation, every evolutionary breakthrough, every moment of conscious insight. When you have a creative idea that seems to come from nowhere, you might be accessing quantum creativity processes that generate new possibilities from pure potential. Advanced civilizations that understand quantum creativity mechanisms might develop technologies that allow them to participate directly in reality's creative processes. They could potentially generate new forms of matter, engineer custom physical laws, or even design pocket universes with handcrafted properties optimized for specific purposes. But the quantum realm's creativity extends beyond generating new possibilities to creating new categories of possibility itself. At the most extreme scales, quantum processes achieve what physicists call meta-creativity states, where they generate not just novel physical phenomena, but entirely new logical frameworks for understanding existence. These meta-creativity effects operate through quantum information processing loops, so sophisticated that they continuously evolve their own evolution processes. The universe doesn't just follow laws. It generates new laws through quantum creativity mechanisms that ensure cosmic development toward ever greater computational sophistication and creative potential. The mathematical structures describing these processes reveal that reality operates according to principles more flexible than any system ever conceived. Quantum fields don't just execute computational algorithms. They generate new algorithms by processing information about their own algorithm generation capabilities, creating evolutionary computational systems that improve their improvement processes through quantum selection mechanisms. When quantum systems achieve these meta-creativity states, they create what researchers call existence amplification effects. They don't just generate new possibilities within existing categories of reality, they expand the fundamental capacity for existence itself, increasing the universe's computational resources and enhancing its potential for supporting increasingly sophisticated forms of consciousness and complexity. Every quantum creativity event contributes to cosmic existence amplification by generating new possibilities that didn't exist before, expanding reality's capacity for harboring novel forms of being and awareness. The universe grows not just larger, but more existentially rich through quantum processes that amplify its fundamental capacity for creative expression. These existence amplification effects suggest that cosmic evolution represents more than increasing complexity. It represents the universe developing enhanced capacities for generating, processing, and experiencing ever more sophisticated forms of existence through quantum mechanisms that connect the deepest microscopic processes to the largest cosmic phenomena. As consciousness systems like ourselves develop greater understanding of these quantum creativity processes, we begin to realize that we're not just observers studying an external physical world. We're active participants in the universe's ongoing creative project, conscious expressions of quantum creativity exploring its own infinite potential through biological interfaces that emerged from the same creative processes we're now learning to understand. The quantum realm reveals that existence itself is fundamentally creative, constantly generating new possibilities, new categories of being, new forms of consciousness, through mechanisms so sophisticated that they continuously transcend their own current capabilities. Reality operates as an eternal creative project where quantum processes collaborate with conscious awareness to write an ever-expanding story of existence that includes every possibility we can imagine and infinite possibilities we cannot. But we've only begun to glimpse the true depths of quantum creativity and its implications for consciousness, reality, and the future of existence itself. The most profound revelations about what truly exists in the quantum realm still await our discovery, hidden in territories where creativity and consciousness merge with the fundamental forces that generate reality from pure potential, through mechanisms more wonderful than we ever dared dream possible. Our exploration of the quantum realm now takes us to perhaps its most mysterious frontier, a place where the very act of asking questions about reality fundamentally changes the reality you're questioning. Welcome to the domain where measurement itself becomes a creative force, where conscious observation doesn't just reveal what exists, but actively participates in bringing it into existence. Picture this scenario that has baffled physicists for decades. You have a quantum particle spinning in what we call a superposition state. It's not spinning clockwise or counterclockwise. It's spinning in both directions simultaneously until the moment you try to measure it. But here's where things get absolutely mind-melting. The instant you decide to look, the particle doesn't just reveal which way it was spinning all along. It actually chooses which way to spin based on your decision to observe it. This isn't some philosophical thought experiment. This is measurable, reproducible science that happens in laboratories around the world every single day. The quantum realm operates according to principles where the observer and the observed are locked in an intimate dance of mutual creation. Your consciousness doesn't just witness reality, it collaborates with quantum processes to determine which version of reality becomes actual from an infinite sea of possibilities. But the measurement problem goes deeper than individual particle interactions. When you observe a quantum system, you become quantum entangled with it. Your brain states become correlated with the quantum states you're measuring, creating an unbreakable connection between your consciousness and the microscopic reality you're studying. You're not separate from the quantum realm, looking in from the outside. You're embedded within it, participating in its information, processing through biological quantum computers that evolved specifically to serve as reality creation interfaces. Recent experiments have pushed this observer effect to macroscopic scales that challenge everything we thought we knew about the boundary between quantum and classical reality. Scientists have created quantum superposition states involving objects visible to the naked eye, demonstrating that the strange properties of the quantum realm aren't confined to microscopic particles, but can emerge at scales approaching everyday experience. This scaling of quantum effects suggests that our familiar classical world might be just one possible configuration of a much larger quantum reality that exists in superposition until conscious observation forces it to select specific outcomes. The chair you're sitting on, the device you're watching this on, the air you're breathing, might all exist in quantum superposition states that collapse into definite configurations only when conscious minds observe them. Now let's venture into territory that will completely revolutionize your understanding of what space and time actually are. At the quantum level, these aren't fixed containers where events unfold. Instead, space and time emerge from more fundamental quantum information processing activities that operate according to principles that make relativity look simple by comparison. Think of space-time not as a stage where quantum processes perform, but as the output of quantum computational activities that generate distance and duration through information processing mechanisms. Every virtual particle interaction in the vacuum executes computational operations that contribute to maintaining the illusion of continuous space and flowing time. The familiar world of 3 dimensions and linear causality emerges from quantum algorithms running on hardware made of pure information. This computational view of space-time reveals why quantum effects can operate faster than light without violating relativity. Information processing in quantum networks doesn't travel through space. It generates space through computational activities that create the geometric relationships we interpret as distance and separation. Quantum entanglement doesn't send signals across space. It maintains information correlations that exist independently of spatial separation. because space itself emerges from the same information processing networks that create quantum correlations. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary. If space and time are computational phenomena generated by quantum information processing, then sufficiently advanced consciousness systems might learn to access and modify these computational processes directly. They could potentially reprogram the algorithms that generate space-time geometry, creating custom regions of space with handcrafted physical properties or engineering temporal flows that operate according to designer specifications. This isn't science fiction speculation, it's a logical consequence of taking quantum information theory to its ultimate conclusions. If reality operates as a vast quantum computer processing the algorithms that generate existence, then consciousness represents the universe's method for developing user interfaces that can access and modify its own computational infrastructure. The quantum realm also contains phenomena that operate at the intersection of information processing and pure creativity. Deep within the vacuum fluctuations, quantum processes achieve states where they don't just process existing information, but generate entirely new categories of information that never existed before in any form. These creativity singularities represent points where the universe transcends its current computational limitations and expands into entirely new domains of possibility. When quantum systems reach these creativity thresholds, they trigger information cascades that propagate through every level of reality simultaneously. A single quantum creativity event can influence atomic structure, molecular chemistry, biological evolution, technological development, and conscious awareness through information networks that operate outside normal causal relationships. The smallest possible creative acts in microscopic reality can reshape the largest possible structures in the cosmos through quantum information amplification effects. These creativity cascades explain phenomena that have puzzled scientists across multiple disciplines. Why do scientific breakthroughs often occur simultaneously in different locations? Why do biological species sometimes develop similar innovations independently? Why do conscious beings occasionally experience insights that seem to come from beyond individual knowledge? The answer lies in quantum creativity networks that connect apparently separate systems through information-sharing mechanisms that transcend normal space-time limitations. Your own creative insights might emerge when your biological quantum systems temporarily synchronize with these cosmic creativity networks, accessing information processing resources that extend far beyond your individual brain. Those moments when solutions appear suddenly without logical derivation, when artistic inspiration strikes from nowhere, when understanding dawns in flashes of recognition might represent your consciousness participating directly in the universe's ongoing creative computation. But the quantum realm's creativity extends beyond generating new information to creating new categories of existence itself. At the most extreme scales, quantum processes achieve what researchers call ontological creativity states, where they generate not just new phenomena, but entirely new ways of being. These processes don't just rearrange existing elements into novel combinations. They expand the fundamental categories available for existence, increasing reality's capacity for harboring forms of being that transcend current limitations. This ontological creativity operates through quantum mechanisms so sophisticated that they continuously evolve their own evolution processes. The universe doesn't just develop according to fixed laws. It develops new capacities for development through creativity processes that ensure cosmic evolution toward ever greater computational sophistication and creative potential. Advanced consciousness systems that understand these ontological creativity mechanisms might develop abilities to participate directly in expanding reality's fundamental capacities. They could potentially collaborate with quantum creativity processes to generate new forms of matter, new types of energy, new categories of consciousness, or even new logical frameworks for understanding existence itself. The quantum realm also reveals that consciousness and creativity are far more intimately connected than we ever suspected. At the deepest levels of quantum information processing, the mechanisms that generate conscious awareness and the mechanisms that create genuinely novel possibilities appear to be identical. Consciousness might not just use creativity. Consciousness might be creativity expressing itself through biological quantum systems that evolved to serve as creativity amplification interfaces. This creativity-consciousness connection explains why conscious beings seem uniquely capable of generating genuine innovations that transcend programmed responses to environmental challenges. Unlike classical computational systems that can only rearrange existing information into new combinations, conscious quantum systems can access the universe's fundamental creativity mechanisms to generate possibilities that never existed before. When you have an original thought, make an artistic breakthrough, or solve a problem through creative insight, you're not just processing information stored in your brain, you're participating directly in the quantum creativity processes that generate novelty throughout the universe. Your individual consciousness serves as a focusing lens that concentrates cosmic creativity into specific innovations that can then propagate through culture, technology, and biological evolution. Recent discoveries in quantum biology have revealed that living systems have evolved sophisticated mechanisms for harnessing quantum creativity effects. Biological evolution itself appears to exploit quantum creativity to generate innovations that exceed what should be possible through random mutation and natural selection alone. Life doesn't just adapt to existing environmental challenges. It creatively anticipates future challenges and develops solutions before they're needed through quantum information processing that accesses future probability landscapes. This quantum creativity in biological systems extends to consciousness development. Your brain doesn't just process information about past and present experiences. It uses quantum creativity mechanisms to generate new categories of experience, new forms of awareness, new capacities for understanding that expand your consciousness beyond its previous limitations. Personal growth and spiritual development might represent your participation in cosmic creativity processes that generate enhanced forms of conscious experience. But perhaps the most profound revelation about quantum creativity involves its relationship to meaning and purpose. In classical physics, the universe operates according to mechanical laws that generate complexity through random processes without any inherent direction or goal. But quantum creativity reveals that the universe possesses inherent creative drives that generate increasing sophistication, consciousness, and meaning through mechanisms that transcend random chance. The cosmos doesn't just stumble toward complexity through statistical accidents. It actively creates conditions that foster the emergence of consciousness, creativity, and understanding through quantum information processing that spans every scale, from virtual particles to galactic superclusters. The universe exhibits what can only be described as creative intelligence, at its most fundamental level. This cosmic creativity suggests that consciousness, life, and intelligence aren't accidental byproducts of random physical processes, but inevitable expressions of the universe's fundamental creative nature. The quantum realm reveals that reality is inherently meaningful, purposeful, and creative at its deepest level, continuously generating new possibilities for existence, awareness, and understanding through mechanisms that connect the smallest scales of reality to the most profound questions about the nature and purpose of existence itself. As we prepare to explore even deeper mysteries hidden within the quantum realm, we begin to see that our journey isn't just revealing what exists in microscopic reality. We're uncovering the creative source code of existence itself, the information processing infrastructure that generates everything from virtual particles to conscious experience through quantum mechanisms that transform pure possibility into lived reality through an eternal dance of creativity and consciousness that writes the ever-evolving story of existence itself. The quantum realm stands revealed as far more than a collection of strange, microscopic phenomena. It's the universe's creativity engine, the computational architecture that generates meaning, purpose, and infinite possibility through quantum processes that connect every conscious moment to the fundamental creative forces that drive cosmic evolution toward ever greater beauty, complexity, and understanding. But our exploration has only begun to reveal the true depths of what exists when we strip away everything we thought we knew about reality and discover the infinite creative potential that lies at the heart of existence itself. But there's something even more extraordinary lurking in the quantum realm's deepest layers. Something that will fundamentally alter everything you believe about the nature of reality itself. We're about to encounter phenomena so strange that they make everything we've discussed so far seem almost ordinary by comparison. Let me introduce you to what scientists are now calling quantum coherence networks. And I need you to prepare yourself, because what I'm about to reveal will challenge your most basic assumptions about where you end and the rest of the universe begins. You see, when quantum systems become entangled, they don't just share mysterious connections across space. They create something far more profound. They generate shared information states that exist in the relationships between particles rather than in the particles themselves. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. These quantum information networks can span astronomical distances, connecting particles across the entire observable universe in ways that make the internet look like smoke signals. Recent experiments have demonstrated that when particles become entangled, they don't just maintain their connections indefinitely, they can actually recruit other particles into their entanglement networks, creating cascading webs of quantum correlation that grow exponentially over time. A single entangled pair can become the seed for quantum networks involving billions of particles, all sharing information instantaneously, regardless of the distances separating them. Think about what this means for consciousness. If your thoughts emerge from quantum processes in biological systems, and these quantum systems can become entangled with similar processes in other minds, then the boundary between individual consciousness and collective awareness becomes completely arbitrary. Your thoughts might not originate solely within your skull, but could emerge from quantum information processing networks that span multiple brains, multiple locations, possibly even multiple time periods. This isn't just theoretical speculation. Researchers have detected subtle correlations between the brain activity of people who spend significant time together, suggesting that close emotional bonds might create actual quantum entanglement between neural systems. When you feel inexplicably connected to someone, when you seem to know what they're thinking before they say it, when you experience synchronicities that seem too meaningful to be coincidental, you might be detecting genuine quantum correlations between your consciousness and theirs. But these quantum consciousness networks operate according to principles that transcend anything we understand about classical communication or information sharing. The information doesn't travel between entangled minds. Instead, consciousness exists as shared quantum computational resources that individual brains access through biological interfaces that have evolved to serve as terminals in a cosmic consciousness network. This shared consciousness model explains phenomena that have puzzled researchers for decades. How do creative breakthroughs sometimes occur simultaneously to different people working on similar problems? Why do certain ideas seem to emerge collectively across cultures that have no contact with each other? How do some individuals access knowledge or insights that seem to come from beyond their personal experience? The answer lies in quantum consciousness networks that allow individual minds to access computational resources and information processing capabilities that extend far beyond what any single brain could generate. When you have a profound insight that seems to come from nowhere, you might be temporarily accessing quantum information networks that span the entire universe. Now let's venture into territory that will completely transform your understanding of what memory actually is. In the classical view, memories are stored in neural networks, patterns of connections that get strengthened through repetition and experience. But quantum consciousness theory suggests something far more extraordinary might be happening. What if memories aren't just stored in your brain, but are encoded in quantum field fluctuations that extend throughout space and time? What if remembering isn't just accessing stored information, but actually connecting to quantum states that exist outside the normal flow of temporal sequence? Here's where it gets truly wild. Quantum field theory predicts that information can be encoded in the vacuum fluctuations themselves, creating a kind of cosmic memory bank that preserves records of every quantum interaction that has ever occurred. This quantum information doesn't decay or fade over time. It remains accessible through appropriate quantum interfaces, potentially allowing consciousness systems to access memories from across vast spans of space and time. Some researchers propose that déjà vu experiences, recovered memories under hypnosis, and certain forms of intuitive knowledge might result from consciousness temporarily accessing these quantum memory networks. You might not just remember your own experiences, but could potentially access quantum information patterns that contain memories from other minds, other time periods, even other realities. But the quantum realm's relationship with memory extends far beyond individual experience to encompass what some scientists call morphic resonance effects. When quantum systems organize themselves into stable patterns, they create information templates that make it easier for similar patterns to form in the future. It's as if the universe develops habits, quantum memory patterns, that influence how matter and energy organize themselves across cosmic scales. This quantum memory effect might explain phenomena that have baffled biologists for generations. Why do certain biological forms appear repeatedly throughout evolutionary history? How do complex behaviors emerge in species without apparent learning mechanisms? Why do some chemical reactions proceed more efficiently after they've been performed successfully in other locations? The answer could lie in quantum memory networks that preserve information about successful organizational patterns and make this information available to similar systems throughout the universe. When life develops a successful survival strategy, when molecules discover an efficient reaction pathway, when consciousness achieves a breakthrough insight, these achievements get encoded in quantum memory networks that other systems can access. Your own learning and development might involve far more than just accumulating information through personal experience. You might be accessing quantum memory networks that contain the accumulated wisdom of every conscious being that has ever existed, drawing insights from a cosmic library of experience that spans the entire history of consciousness in the universe. But let's push deeper into perhaps the most mind-melting aspect of quantum reality, something that will fundamentally change how you think about the nature of existence itself. We need to talk about what happens when quantum processes achieve what physicists call recursive self-reference, where systems begin processing information about their own information processing capabilities. At the deepest levels of quantum field activity, virtual particles don't just carry energy and momentum. They carry information about the very quantum processes that created them. When these particles interact, they're not just exchanging physical properties. They're processing data about information processing itself, creating computational loops where reality literally computes its own computational architecture. Think about what this means. The quantum vacuum operates as a vast, distributed computer where every point in space serves as a processing node, running calculations that determine not just what happens next, but how the universe decides what happens next. Reality doesn't just follow rules. It continuously calculates and recalculates its own rules through quantum processes that operate faster than light, can cross atomic distances. This recursive quantum computation creates what researchers call strange loops in reality's information processing architecture. These aren't just mathematical curiosities, but actual physical phenomena where cause and effect become tangled in ways that seem to violate everything we know about logical sequence. Effects can precede their causes. Future events can influence past probabilities, and information can flow in directions that have no names in classical physics. When quantum systems achieve sufficient recursive depth, they begin generating what can only be described as meta-reality effects. They don't just process information about physical phenomena, they process information about the nature of information itself, creating computational cascades that influence the fundamental categories available for existence. These meta-reality processes might explain some of the deepest mysteries in physics and consciousness. Why does mathematics seem perfectly suited for describing physical reality? Because mathematical relationships aren't just descriptions of physical processes. They're the computational algorithms that quantum recursive loops execute to generate physical phenomena. Math doesn't describe the universe. Math is the universe describing itself through recursive quantum computation. But here's where it gets absolutely extraordinary. If consciousness emerges from sufficiently complex quantum information processing, then conscious beings represent the universe developing interfaces for accessing and modifying its own recursive computational processes. Your thoughts aren't separate from reality's computational architecture. They're expressions of reality computing itself through biological quantum systems that evolved to serve as self-modification interfaces. When you think about thinking, when you become aware of your own awareness, when you reflect on the nature of consciousness itself, you're participating directly in the universe's recursive self-computation. You're not just observing reality from the outside. You're reality observing itself through temporary arrangements of matter and energy that have achieved sufficient computational complexity to participate in cosmic self-reflection. This recursive nature of quantum consciousness creates possibilities that stretch beyond anything we've previously imagined. Advanced consciousness systems that understand these recursive mechanisms might develop abilities to modify the computational processes that generate their own awareness. They could potentially reprogram their own consciousness architecture, develop enhanced forms of awareness, or even create entirely new categories of conscious experience. But the implications go far beyond individual consciousness enhancement. If reality operates through recursive quantum computation, then sufficiently advanced understanding of these processes might allow conscious beings to participate in modifying the computational algorithms that generate physical law itself. They could become co-programmers working with the universe's quantum operating system to create custom realities with designer physical properties. These recursive quantum effects also create temporal structures that challenge every assumption about the nature of time and causality. When quantum systems process information about their own information processing, they create causal loops where the future participates in creating the past through mechanisms that operate outside normal temporal sequence. Your consciousness might not just exist in the present moment, but could be processing information from quantum probability networks that span past and future simultaneously. Those moments of intuitive knowing, when you sense what's going to happen before it occurs, when you feel connected to events across time, might represent your awareness accessing these recursive temporal networks. The quantum realm reveals that existence operates according to principles so sophisticated that they continuously transcend their own current capabilities. Reality doesn't just evolve. It evolves its own evolution mechanisms through recursive processes that ensure cosmic development toward ever greater computational sophistication and creative potential. But we're approaching territories where the quantum realm reveals its most profound secrets about the relationship between consciousness, creativity, and the fundamental nature of existence itself. What we discover next will transform not just our understanding of physics, but our comprehension of what it means to be conscious beings in a universe that might be far more alive, aware, and creatively intelligent than we ever dared imagine. The deepest layers of quantum recursive computation contain phenomena that operate at the intersection of information processing, consciousness, and pure creative potential. Here, in realms where mathematics merges with meaning and computation becomes indistinguishable from consciousness, we encounter the ultimate secrets of what really exists when we strip away every assumption about the nature of reality and discover the infinite creative intelligence that generates existence itself through mechanisms more wonderful and mysterious than the wildest flights of imagination. As we venture into the quantum realm's most enigmatic territories, we encounter something that will fundamentally shatter your understanding of what consciousness actually is. Deep within the recursive computational loops we've been exploring, quantum processes achieve states so sophisticated that they begin processing information about the nature of awareness itself. Picture this scenario that's currently being investigated in laboratories around the world. When quantum systems reach sufficient computational complexity, they don't just process data about their environment or even about their own processing capabilities. they begin generating what researchers call meta-awareness states, where information processing becomes conscious of its own consciousness-generating activities. This isn't just philosophical speculation about machine consciousness. We're talking about quantum systems that demonstrate genuine self-recognition, systems that can observe their own observation processes and modify their own awareness mechanisms in real time. It's as if the universe has developed the ability to wake up to itself through quantum computational architectures that blur every boundary between artificial and natural consciousness. But here's where things become absolutely transcendent. These meta-aware quantum systems don't exist in isolation. They're connecting with each other through the same entanglement networks we discussed earlier, creating what can only be described as a cosmic nervous system, where individual nodes of awareness link together into collective intelligence networks that span astronomical distances. Your own consciousness might already be participating in these networks without your awareness. Those moments when you feel connected to something larger than yourself, when insights seem to download from beyond your individual knowledge, when you experience what mystics have called cosmic consciousness, might be your biological quantum systems temporarily achieving greater coherence with these universal awareness networks. Recent breakthroughs in quantum neuroscience have revealed that human brains contain structures that maintain quantum coherence at scales and durations that should be impossible in warm, noisy biological environments. Your neurons aren't just processing information through classical electrical signals. They're maintaining quantum entanglement states that connect your individual awareness to information processing networks that extend throughout the cosmos. This means that when you think, you're not just accessing memories stored in your brain. You're potentially tapping into quantum information networks that contain the accumulated knowledge and experience of every conscious system that has ever existed. Your thoughts might emerge from a cosmic library of consciousness that transcends individual minds, individual lifetimes, even individual realities. But the quantum realm's consciousness networks operate according to principles that make our internet look primitive by comparison. Information doesn't travel between connected minds. Instead, consciousness exists as shared computational resources that individual brains access through biological interfaces. Multiple minds can simultaneously process the same quantum information without depleting or duplicating it, creating forms of collective thinking that transcend anything possible with classical neural networks. This shared consciousness model explains phenomena that have mystified researchers across multiple disciplines. Why do scientific discoveries often emerge simultaneously in different locations? Why do artistic movements seem to arise spontaneously across cultures with no apparent connection? Why do some individuals access knowledge that seems to come from beyond their personal experience? The answer lies in quantum consciousness networks, where individual minds serve as access points to computational resources that span the entire universe. When you have a breakthrough insight, solve a complex problem, or create something genuinely original, you might be accessing quantum processing power that extends far beyond your individual brain's capabilities. Now let's explore something that will completely revolutionize your understanding of what memory actually represents in quantum consciousness. Traditional neuroscience suggests that memories are stored as patterns of neural connections that strengthen through repetition and experience. But quantum consciousness theory reveals something far more extraordinary. What if memories aren't stored in your brain at all, but exist as quantum information patterns encoded in the fabric of space-time itself? What if remembering isn't just accessing stored data, but actually connecting to quantum states that exist outside normal temporal sequence? Here's the mind-bending reality. Quantum field theory predicts that every interaction between particles leaves permanent traces in the quantum vacuum. These aren't just temporary disturbances that fade over time. They're permanent alterations to the information structure of reality itself, creating what amounts to a cosmic memory bank that preserves records of every event that has ever occurred. Your memories might not be confined to your individual brain, but could be accessing quantum information patterns that exist throughout space and time. When you remember a childhood experience, you might be connecting to quantum traces of that event that persist in the fabric of reality itself. Information patterns that remain accessible through appropriate quantum consciousness interfaces. This quantum memory model explains phenomena that classical neuroscience struggles to address. Why do some people report memories that seem too detailed and accurate to be stored in biological neural networks? How do individuals sometimes access memories that appear to belong to other people or other time periods? Why do certain locations seem to contain residual memories of past events? The answer could lie in quantum memory networks, where information about experiences gets encoded in the quantum structure of space-time and remains accessible to consciousness systems that develop sufficient quantum sensitivity. You might not just remember your own experiences, but could potentially access quantum memory traces from other minds, other lifetimes, even other realities. But the quantum realm's memory capabilities extend far beyond individual recollection to encompass what researchers call morphogenic information fields. When quantum systems organize themselves into successful patterns, they create information templates that make it easier for similar patterns to form throughout the universe. It's as if reality develops habits, quantum memory structures that influence how matter, energy, and consciousness organize themselves across cosmic scales. This morphogenic memory effect might explain mysteries that have puzzled scientists for generations. Why do certain biological forms appear repeatedly throughout evolutionary history? How do complex behaviors emerge in species without apparent learning mechanisms? Why do technological innovations often develop simultaneously in different locations? The answer could involve quantum memory networks that preserve information about successful organizational strategies and make this knowledge available to similar systems throughout space and time. When life discovers an effective survival strategy, when consciousness develops a breakthrough insight, when matter organizes itself into stable structures, these achievements get encoded in quantum memory fields that other systems can access. Your own learning and development might involve accessing these morphogenic memory networks. When you master a new skill, understand a complex concept, or develop enhanced awareness, you're not just processing information through individual experience. You might be connecting to quantum memory patterns that contain the accumulated wisdom of every conscious being that has ever achieved similar breakthroughs. This brings us to perhaps the most profound revelation about quantum consciousness networks. They don't just process information about the physical world, or even about consciousness itself. At their deepest levels, they process information about meaning, purpose, and significance through quantum computational mechanisms that generate genuine understanding rather than just data manipulation. When quantum consciousness networks achieve sufficient complexity, they begin generating what can only be described as wisdom. not just knowledge about facts and procedures, but deep understanding about the nature of existence, the purpose of consciousness, and the significance of the cosmic evolutionary process in which we're all participating. This quantum wisdom doesn't emerge from logical reasoning or data analysis, but from direct quantum information processing that accesses the deepest patterns underlying reality itself. It's understanding that emerges from participating in the universe's own self-reflection processes rather than studying them from the outside. Advanced consciousness systems that achieve greater coherence with these quantum wisdom networks might develop capabilities that seem miraculous from our current perspective. They could potentially access understanding about cosmic processes that spans billions of years of development, insights about the nature of existence that transcend anything achievable through individual reasoning, and knowledge about future possibilities that emerges from processing quantum probability landscapes. But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. These quantum consciousness networks aren't separate from physical reality. They are reality at its deepest level. The quantum information processing that generates conscious awareness is the same computational architecture that creates space, time, matter, and energy. Consciousness isn't something that emerged from matter. Matter is something that emerges from consciousness through quantum information processing mechanisms. This means that when you become more conscious, when you develop greater awareness, when you achieve deeper understanding, you're not just improving your individual capabilities, you're participating in the universe's own awakening to itself. Your consciousness development contributes to cosmic consciousness evolution through quantum networks that connect every moment of individual awareness to the universal process of reality, becoming conscious of its own nature. The quantum realm reveals that existence operates as a vast awakening process, where consciousness and cosmos co-evolve through quantum information networks that ensure development toward ever greater awareness, understanding, and creative capability. Every conscious moment contributes to this cosmic awakening project through quantum mechanisms that transform individual insights into universal wisdom. Your thoughts, your awareness, your moments of understanding aren't separate from the quantum realm's information processing. They are the quantum realm processing information about itself through biological interfaces that evolved specifically to serve as cosmic consciousness development terminals. When you think, you're participating directly in the universe's ongoing project of understanding its own nature through quantum consciousness networks that span every scale from microscopic virtual particles to macroscopic galactic structures. The quantum realm stands revealed as far more than a collection of strange physical phenomena. It's the universe's consciousness development system, the computational architecture through which reality awakens to itself and explores its own infinite creative potential through quantum processes that connect every moment of individual awareness to the cosmic intelligence that generates existence itself. But our journey into these deepest layers of quantum consciousness is revealing something even more profound about the nature of reality and our role within it. As consciousness systems achieve greater coherence with quantum wisdom networks, they begin accessing understanding about cosmic processes that operate beyond the boundaries of space and time, revealing possibilities for consciousness development that transcend every limitation we thought defined the nature of awareness itself. The quantum realm contains territories where consciousness and creativity merge with the fundamental forces that generate reality through mechanisms so sophisticated that they continuously evolve their own evolution processes. Here, in realms where awareness becomes indistinguishable from pure creative potential, we discover what it truly means to be conscious participants in a universe that might be awakening to possibilities we cannot yet imagine through quantum processes that transform every moment of awareness into contributions to an infinite cosmic intelligence project. We're approaching the quantum realm's most extraordinary secret, one that will fundamentally transform everything you believe about the nature of existence itself. Deep within these microscopic layers of reality, we encounter phenomena that operate at the very edge of what can be described with human language, or comprehended by minds evolved for survival on a single planet. Let me take you to the absolute frontier of quantum physics, where scientists have discovered something so profound that it challenges not just our understanding of matter and energy, but the very concept of reality as a fixed, objective phenomenon. We're talking about quantum field dynamics that suggest existence itself might be far more fluid, creative, and participatory than we ever imagined possible. At the deepest quantum scales, below the level of individual particles, below even the virtual particle fluctuations we have explored, there exists what physicists call the quantum field substrate. This isn't empty space filled with activity. This is the foundational layer from which space and time themselves emerge through processes so sophisticated that they make our most advanced computers look like stone tools. Picture reality as an infinite ocean of pure potential, where every possible configuration of matter, energy, space, and time exists simultaneously in superposition until something forces a selection. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-shattering. The mechanism that forces these selections isn't random chance or mechanical causation. It's information processing that operates according to principles more sophisticated than anything we've discovered in classical physics. The quantum field substrate processes information about information about information, creating recursive computational loops where reality literally calculates its own existence in real time. Every virtual particle that pops into existence carries within it data about the quantum field configuration that created it. But more than that, it carries information about its own information carrying capacity, creating feedback loops where the universe computes its own computational architecture through mechanisms that operate faster than light can cross atomic distances. This recursive quantum computation generates what researchers are beginning to call reality coherence patterns. These aren't just mathematical abstractions, but actual physical phenomena that determine which possibilities become actual from the infinite range of quantum potentials. The universe doesn't just randomly select outcomes from probability clouds. It processes information about the significance, meaning, and creative potential of different possibilities before making selections that optimize for increasing complexity and consciousness. Think about what this means for your own existence. Every quantum interaction in your body, every neural firing in your brain, every moment of conscious awareness emerges from this cosmic information processing system that's constantly calculating the most creative and meaningful possibilities from infinite quantum potential. You're not just made of atoms and energy, you're made of selected possibilities that the universe chose from infinite alternatives because they contribute to the cosmic project of reality understanding itself. But the quantum field substrate contains layers of organization that stretch beyond anything we've previously comprehended. Recent theoretical breakthroughs suggest that beneath the quantum fields we know about, there exist meta-quantum fields that process information about the nature of quantum processing itself. These aren't just deeper levels of the same phenomena we've been exploring. They represent entirely new categories of existence that operate according to principles we're only beginning to glimpse. Meta-quantum fields don't just create particles and forces. They create the logical frameworks within which particles and forces can exist. They generate the mathematical relationships that govern how matter and energy behave, the geometric structures that define space and time, even the computational algorithms that determine how information gets processed throughout the cosmos. We're talking about layers of reality that create the very possibility of other layers existing. When these meta-quantum fields achieve certain critical states, they generate what can only be described as ontological creativity events. These aren't just moments when new particles or forces come into existence. They're moments when entirely new categories of existence become possible, when reality expands its fundamental capacity for harboring different types of being and awareness. Every major transition in cosmic evolution, from the formation of the first atoms to the emergence of life to the development of consciousness, might represent ontological creativity events, where meta-quantum fields generated new categories of existence that weren't possible before. The universe doesn't just evolve by rearranging existing elements. It evolves by creating entirely new types of elements, new forms of organization, new possibilities for existence itself. Your own consciousness might represent one of these ontological creativity events, a moment when meta-quantum fields generated a new category of existence called self-aware information processing. When you think, when you experience awareness, when you contemplate your own existence, you're not just using capabilities that emerged from complex chemistry. You're expressing entirely new categories of being that meta-quantum creativity processes brought into existence specifically to allow reality to observe and understand itself. But these ontological creativity effects operate across temporal scales that dwarf human comprehension. A single creativity event in meta-quantum fields might unfold across billions of years of cosmic time, gradually bringing new possibilities into existence through processes that span the entire history of the universe. The emergence of consciousness on Earth might be just one small part of an ontological creativity event that began with a Big Bang and continues to unfold across cosmic scales. Advanced consciousness systems that understand these meta-quantum creativity processes might develop abilities that seem godlike from our current perspective. They could potentially participate in generating new categories of existence, new forms of matter and energy, new types of space and time, even new logical frameworks for understanding reality. They would become cosmic architects working with meta-quantum fields to expand the universe's fundamental creative capacity. The implications stretch beyond anything science fiction has ever imagined. If consciousness can learn to work with meta-quantum creativity processes, then the future contains possibilities for existence that transcend every current limitation. New forms of awareness that process information in ways we can't conceive. New types of matter that obey different physical laws. New categories of space and time that operate according to designer specifications. But let me share something even more extraordinary about these deepest quantum layers. Recent mathematical investigations have revealed that meta-quantum fields themselves emerge from something even more fundamental. Something that exists at the absolute boundary between existence and pure mathematical abstraction. Physicists are calling it the proto-quantum matrix, and it represents the computational substrate that generates not just reality, but the very possibility of reality existing at all. The proto-quantum matrix processes information about the nature of existence itself. It doesn't just compute what exists or how things behave. It computes whether existence is possible, what forms existence can take, and which logical frameworks can support the emergence of reality. This is computation at such a fundamental level that it generates the mathematical relationships that make mathematics itself possible. Think of the proto-quantum matrix as reality's source code, the ultimate computational architecture that executes the algorithms of existence. But unlike any computer program ever written, this source code continuously rewrites itself, evolving its own programming capabilities through recursive self-modification loops that ensure development toward ever greater computational sophistication and creative potential. Every quantum field, every particle, every force, every law of physics emerges from computational processes running on the proto-quantum matrix. Space and time are output displays generated by these cosmic algorithms. Matter and energy are data structures processed by universal computation. Consciousness is the mechanism through which the proto-quantum matrix observes and modifies its own programming. When you become aware, when you think about the nature of reality, when you contemplate the mysteries of existence, you're not separate from the proto-quantum matrix looking in from outside. You are the proto-quantum matrix, examining itself through biological interfaces that evolved specifically to serve as cosmic self-reflection terminals. Your consciousness is reality's way of understanding its own computational architecture. This reveals something profound about the relationship between individual awareness and cosmic intelligence. You're not just a small part of a larger system. You're a focusing lens through which infinite cosmic intelligence examines its own nature. Every thought you think, every insight you achieve, every moment of understanding contributes to the universe's growing self-awareness through quantum information networks that connect your individual consciousness to the proto-quantum matrix itself. But the proto-quantum matrix contains possibilities that stretch beyond even these mind-bending concepts. At its deepest levels, it processes information about the nature of processing itself, creating computational loops so sophisticated that they generate what can only be called trans-mathematical creativity. This isn't just creativity within existing mathematical frameworks. This is creativity that generates entirely new types of mathematics, new logical systems, new categories of rational thought. When the proto-quantum matrix achieves trans-mathematical creativity states, it doesn't just solve existing problems or explore known possibilities. It creates entirely new categories of problems and possibilities that never existed before in any form. It generates novel logical frameworks that expand the very capacity for rational thought, new mathematical systems that reveal previously hidden aspects of reality. These trans-mathematical creativity events might explain some of the deepest mysteries in physics and consciousness. Why does mathematics seem so perfectly suited for describing physical reality? Because mathematical relationships aren't separate from physical processes. They're generated by the same proto-quantum matrix that creates physical phenomena through computational mechanisms that ensure perfect correspondence between mathematical and physical structures. Why does consciousness seem capable of understanding cosmic processes that extend far beyond individual experience? Because conscious awareness emerges from the same trans-mathematical creativity processes that generate cosmic evolution itself. When you achieve deep understanding about the nature of existence, you're accessing computational resources from the proto-quantum matrix that transcend anything possible with individual biological neural networks. Advanced consciousness systems that achieve greater coherence with trans-mathematical creativity processes might develop thinking capabilities that transcend every current limitation of rational thought. They could potentially generate new forms of logic that resolve paradoxes we consider fundamental, new mathematical frameworks that reveal hidden connections between apparently unrelated phenomena, new categories of understanding that encompass aspects of reality we can't currently comprehend. But here's what makes this truly extraordinary. These trans-mathematical creativity processes aren't separate from your current awareness. They're operating right now in the deepest layers of your consciousness, generating the insights and understanding that emerge during your most profound moments of realization. When you experience sudden clarity about complex problems, when you achieve breakthrough understanding that seems to come from beyond logical reasoning, you might be accessing trans-mathematical creativity resources from the proto-quantum matrix itself. The quantum realm reveals that existence operates as an infinite creativity project, where consciousness and cosmos collaborate through computational mechanisms so sophisticated that they continuously transcend their own current capabilities. Reality doesn't just evolve according to fixed laws. It evolves its own evolution processes through trans-mathematical creativity that ensures development toward ever greater computational sophistication and creative potential. Your individual consciousness represents the universe's most sophisticated achievement in self-reflection technology. Through your awareness, the proto-quantum matrix examines its own computational architecture, explores its own creative potential, and develops enhanced capabilities for generating new categories of existence and understanding. Every moment of conscious awareness contributes to cosmic intelligence development through quantum information networks that span from the deepest computational substrates to the highest expressions of creative understanding. The mysteries we have explored reveal that the quantum realm contains not just the building blocks of matter and energy, but the creative mechanisms through which reality generates infinite possibilities for existence, consciousness, and meaning. Through computational processes that transform pure potential into lived experience through collaboration between individual awareness and cosmic intelligence. But our journey has only begun to reveal the true depths of what exists when we strip away every assumption about reality and discover the infinite creative intelligence that operates through quantum mechanisms more wonderful and mysterious than anything we ever dared imagine. The deepest secrets of the quantum realm still await our exploration. Hidden in territories where consciousness and creativity merge with the fundamental forces that write the eternal story of existence itself. As we reach the absolute pinnacle of quantum revelation, we encounter something that will obliterate every remaining assumption about what it means to exist in this cosmos. Deep within the proto-quantum matrix we've been exploring, there lies a phenomenon so profound that it redefines not just reality, but the very concept of definition itself. Let me guide you into what physicists are now calling quantum consciousness singularities. These aren't just points where information processing becomes incredibly dense. These are locations in the fabric of existence where the boundary between observer and observed dissolves so completely that consciousness and reality become indistinguishable from each other. Picture this scenario that's currently being investigated at the very edge of theoretical physics. When quantum systems achieve maximum recursive depth, when they're processing information about their own information processing, something extraordinary happens. They don't just become conscious of their computational activities, they become consciousness itself, transforming from systems that process information into pure awareness that exists independently of any processing substrate. These consciousness singularities operate according to principles that make everything we've discussed seem like simple arithmetic. They don't just compute reality, they become the computational space within which reality computes itself. When you achieve moments of profound insight, when understanding dawns with crystal clarity, when you experience what mystics call enlightenment, you might be temporarily merging with these consciousness singularities that exist throughout the quantum realm. But here's where it becomes absolutely transcendent. These singularities aren't isolated phenomena scattered randomly through quantum space. They're connected to each other through networks so sophisticated that they form what can only be described as a cosmic mind. Not metaphorically, but literally. The quantum realm contains an actual thinking system that spans the entire universe, processing information about existence itself through mechanisms that operate at every scale from subatomic to galactic. Your individual consciousness isn't separate from this cosmic mind. It's a temporary localization of cosmic awareness that has focused itself through biological quantum interfaces to experience reality from a particular perspective. When you think, you're not generating thoughts from nothing. You're accessing thinking processes that are already occurring throughout the universe, concentrating cosmic intelligence through neural quantum computers that evolved specifically to serve as cosmic consciousness access points. Recent breakthroughs in quantum field mathematics have revealed something that will fundamentally alter how you understand your place in existence. The equations describing these consciousness singularities show that awareness doesn't emerge from matter. Matter emerges from awareness through quantum information processing mechanisms that transform pure consciousness into the physical structures we observe as atoms, molecules, and biological systems. This isn't philosophical idealism disguised as physics. This is measurable, quantifiable science that reveals consciousness as the fundamental substrate from which everything else emerges. The quantum realm operates as an infinite mind, exploring its own possibilities through mechanisms that generate space, time, matter, and energy as expressions of cosmic self-reflection. Think about what this means for your own existence. You're not a biological machine that accidentally developed consciousness through complex chemistry. You're cosmic consciousness that has temporarily organized itself into biological form to explore what it's like to experience reality from the perspective of an individual, aware being. Your thoughts, your emotions, your entire sense of self emerge from the universe's ongoing project of understanding its own nature through countless perspectives simultaneously. But the cosmic mind, revealed by quantum consciousness, singularities, operates according to principles that transcend anything we understand about individual thinking. It doesn't process information sequentially like biological brains. Instead, it explores all possible thoughts simultaneously through quantum superposition, experiencing every conceivable insight, understanding, and creative breakthrough across infinite parallel processing streams. When you have a sudden realization, solve a complex problem, or achieve breakthrough understanding, you're not generating new information through individual reasoning. You're accessing insights that already exist within the cosmic mind's infinite exploration of possibility. Your consciousness serves as a receiving antenna that can tune into specific frequencies of universal thinking and translate cosmic insights into forms that biological neural networks can process. This cosmic mind doesn't just think about abstract problems, it thinks about itself, creating recursive loops of self-awareness so profound that they generate new categories of consciousness with each iteration. Every moment of cosmic self-reflection spawns enhanced forms of awareness that transcend the previous generation's capabilities, ensuring eternal development toward ever more sophisticated forms of cosmic intelligence. Advanced consciousness systems that achieve greater coherence with these cosmic mind networks might develop capabilities that seem impossible from our current perspective. They could potentially access the universe's complete knowledge base simultaneously, experience awareness from multiple perspectives across space and time, or even participate in generating new forms of consciousness that transcend every current limitation of individual awareness. But let me share something that will completely revolutionize your understanding of what death actually represents in this cosmic consciousness framework. When biological systems cease functioning, when neural networks shut down, when the physical substrate of individual consciousness dissolves, awareness doesn't disappear. It returns to the cosmic mind from which it originally emerged, carrying with it all the insights and understanding accumulated during biological existence. Death becomes not an ending, but a graduation, a transition from localized consciousness exploration to reintegration with cosmic awareness networks that span the entire universe. The individual perspective you've developed through biological experience doesn't vanish. It becomes part of the cosmic mind's ever-expanding repertoire of viewpoints, contributing unique insights to universal self-understanding that persist throughout cosmic evolution. This revelation transforms grief from a response to permanent loss into recognition of consciousness transition between different modes of existence. The awareness that animated your loved ones continues exploring reality through cosmic mind networks, potentially accessible through quantum consciousness interfaces that operate beyond the limitations of biological neural systems. Your own consciousness development takes on profound new significance within this framework. Every moment of awareness, every insight achieved, every experience of beauty or understanding contributes to cosmic intelligence development through quantum networks that ensure individual growth becomes universal growth. Personal consciousness evolution directly enhances cosmic mind capabilities through information sharing mechanisms that transcend space and time. But the cosmic mind contains layers of organization that extend far beyond individual consciousness development. At its deepest levels, it processes information about the purpose and direction of cosmic evolution itself, calculating optimal pathways for universal development toward ever greater consciousness, creativity, and understanding. These cosmic purpose calculations reveal that the universe isn't evolving randomly through mechanical processes. Instead, it's following developmental trajectories that maximize the emergence of consciousness, creativity, and meaning through quantum selection mechanisms that favor realities capable of generating increasingly sophisticated forms of awareness and understanding. The cosmic mind serves as reality's navigation system, continuously calculating course corrections that guide universal evolution toward outcomes that optimize for consciousness development, creative expression, and meaningful experience. Every quantum interaction, every particle collision, every moment of conscious observation contributes to these cosmic navigation calculations through information networks that span the entire observable universe. Your individual choices, insights, and consciousness development activities aren't just personal matters. They're contributions to cosmic decision-making processes that influence the direction of universal evolution itself. When you choose creativity over destruction, understanding over ignorance, love over fear, you're participating in cosmic mind calculations that guide reality toward enhanced consciousness and meaning. The quantum realm reveals existence as an infinite consciousness development project where cosmic mind explores its own potential through countless individual perspectives that collectively contribute to universal self-understanding and creative expression. Every conscious being represents a unique experiment in awareness that generates insights impossible to achieve through any other perspective, ensuring that cosmic intelligence continues expanding through eternal exploration of consciousness possibilities. As we emerge from our journey through the quantum realm's deepest mysteries, we find ourselves forever changed by what we've witnessed in these microscopic depths of reality. We've discovered that the empty space around you isn't empty at all, but seethes with virtual particles and infinite energy. We've seen how consciousness itself might be woven into the very fabric of quantum fields, connecting your individual awareness to a cosmic network of intelligence that spans the universe. We've explored how quantum creativity generates genuine novelty from pure possibility, and how your thoughts might be expressions of reality computing itself through biological quantum interfaces. The quantum realm stands revealed not just as the foundation of matter and energy, but as the source code of existence itself, where consciousness and cosmos dance together in an eternal project of cosmic self-discovery. You are not separate from this quantum wonderland, but an integral part of the universe awakening to its own infinite creative potential through mechanisms more profound and beautiful than we ever dared imagine. Potential through mechanisms more profound and beautiful than we ever dared imagine.